We have a lot to talk about, and there's definitely been some movement in terms of what we've seen in Q1 as well. So we're
Yeah.
excited to cover things for sure.
Yeah, we've got a little visual. I'm excited for you to put
Let's
this
do
up.
it.
It was definitely a strong month, April. I think the last time we did a
Mhm.
recap was when we had Matt Masucci on to do
Correct.
an all like quarter one recap. And I'd say a lot of the trends have stayed decently consistent. I know we're going to hit on a few of the specific trends. I think one of them just being, I know corporate functions had a pretty strong April. I feel like the last couple we've looked at, corporate functions and go to market have been like a lot of our placements. Go
Hmm.
to market, which we comprise of mostly our like marketing and sales revenue type roles. Still a really strong month, honestly.
Of
But
course.
I think with just how strong corporate functions was and like tech kind of coming back up, saw a little bit
Mhm.
of it in the percentage, right? So looking at this kind of a piece of the pie. But yeah, I would love to hear a little bit more. Obviously, you're a corporate functions gal, so maybe we'll go a little bit in a different order. But if you could kick us
Sure.
off what you guys saw in the corporate functions recruiting space in April.
So happy to. And as a reminder for folks, or if this is your first time tuning in, corporate
Yeah.
function is comprised of a few different things. So HR, talent acquisition, accounting and finance, anything administrative, and also operations.
Yeah.
So when we think about the roles that we're going to be discussing today, it falls in all of those buckets. But I think one of the things that stood out to us the most in April is that we saw an increase in active consultants. And this is both
Mm,
for like project level support or contract to hire. So folks that are
okay.
starting as consultants with the hopes of moving into a full-time position. So that was definitely something that we saw increase, and frankly something we typically see happen this time of year going into
Right.
summer months. It's a cyclical thing. So we're excited about that. I think we've noticed some trends this year that's going to continue to increase, which is very exciting. But when we think about the breakdown across those buckets that I had mentioned earlier, pretty even split between HR and finance and accounting. The only thing that I think we saw an uptick in was operations focused positions. So your
Hmm.
type of roles or director of ops position. So that's exciting. I think those are positions that we're seeing more and more of. And I'm interested to see what May holds in the rest of Q2 for us in terms of those roles.
Yeah, that's great and a really helpful breakdown, especially to hear the split across HR and finance and accounting. To get into the kind of go to market trends, we had a really strong quarter one. This dip in percentage is, I don't think even necessarily like indicative of a slower month for us, but I
Sure.
would say different types of roles. So I think if you recall and you tuned in to like our January and our February recaps, we highlighted, we had a very, I don't want to say like weird amount. It was great. What we were seeing at the time was a lot of enterprise account executive
Hmm.
roles.
Yeah, I remember
So
that.
higher in compensation, like more complex sales cycles, you get it. We saw a pretty random split, honestly, in the types of roles that we filled, at least starting on the sales side. As I mentioned, go to market is our kind of sales and marketing recruiting teams. So on the sales side, a pretty random split of different types of roles, but we did see the return of a few BDR roles. And I know
Hmm.
I've said this on the show before. We just don't see as many BDR roles as we
We
used to
don't.
see. I think a lot of companies are expecting their account executives to also do the prospecting and do the work of a BDR instead of
Hmm.
hiring BDR as a separate role. So we did see the return of a few BDR roles. And then in terms of account executives, less so on the enterprise side, although I'm forecasting, thinking about roles we're working on now that we'll probably see that return in the next couple of placement spotlights. It geared more toward like mid market AEs and actually a few customer success managers that were more, I know sometimes there's not a huge difference, but more like account management focused. And then on the marketing side, I wanted to highlight actually a few higher level like director positions. We filled a couple. One was a director of product marketing, I believe, and one just like a general director of marketing. So some higher level roles on the marketing side.
Yeah, definitely exciting to see some of that, and just like you
Yeah.
said, the split between some of those sales positions coming in and starting to see some of those
A good little
BDR
mix.
calls come back, which is great. Moving right along to tech, this number should be very exciting for a lot of people. And the reason why I say that is it's no surprise the tech space has really struggled over the
Yeah.
past year, and specifically the past quarter and a half. And so it's great to see that tech's bumping up to 31% for us in terms of April placements. In terms of what that's comprised of, we're seeing a lot of engineering positions, a couple
Yeah.
developer
Yay.
positions, which is great. Yay,
Yay.
they're coming back. Definitely want to highlight a high level role that the team filled too. It was a VP of IT position. But just to give some context and take things back to Q1, Q2 in January, tech was only at like 17 and some change
Right.
in terms of what we were seeing, and then 21% in February. So massive increase on that side, and
Mhm.
fingers tightly crossed, like that is indicative of what we're going to see in the market if that number continues to rise.
Yeah. And I think too, we also wanted to highlight, we don't want to go too deep. Like Brian and I are always the first to admit we're not experts in all of these areas, which is, I think, hopefully
Exactly.
what's great about Hirewell is we have very specific function specializations. We really did want to highlight what's happening in our industrial practice. And if
Hmm.
you've watched the show before, you've noticed like we haven't always highlighted industrial on its own. A lot of the times we've rolled it up into the corporate functions team.
Right.
But we really did want to highlight our industrial team on their own just because the practice has really taken off. And we saw a few pretty high level placements on the industrial team. I think one was like a maintenance manager and other higher level roles that had like 150K plus base salaries versus I know sometimes our industrial team can do some hourly workers, things
Sure.
of that nature. They've got their own category now, their own
We
team.
sure do.
They're absolutely crushing it. Excited to see just how successful they were in this April placements spotlight.
We've always played in that space, the industrial space. Like we've
Right.
always worked on these positions. We've noticed a trend and a need from our clients over the past several years that they really have needed and wanted
Mhm.
dedicated expert resources in this space. And so, shout out to Shannon's team on the industrial practice, just absolutely killing it. Like you mentioned, there's a number of different roles that they work on, from hourly positions up to management and
Yep.
leadership roles in that space. So, whether it's volume hiring, one off positions, they are absolutely the right
Yeah.
folks to help you find that talent. It's a really specialized need. So to see these positions, like you said, taken off and seeing them make their own stake in the placement spotlight, I think is it's definitely exciting.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, that's important to mention, right? They've always been there. They've always been an important part of our business. So exciting to see just the amount of growth and, like you said, the need in that area. So we'll have Shannon on soon.
We
Hopefully,
will.
hopefully we did it sort of justice, but obviously
Thanks, God.
we need her to really drive it home for us.
We sure do. Well, April was an exciting month for sure. And
Yes.
hard to believe we are almost done with May too. I don't know what is going on, but we're
Wow.
almost done with May. So once those May numbers come in, we'll do another recap of placements for the month. This is one of my favorite segments that we do. It's obviously month over month. We start to see changes in terms of what our clients are needing and
Yeah.
what the market's calling for. So it's exciting and I'm anxious to see how this month wraps up too.
Me too. And like you said, it's crazy. I mean, like before we like this one was really late. So you'll see the
Sorry.
May recap like a lot sooner. We promise.
Absolutely.
Can I go rogue right now?
You can go
I
rogue
feel like
the
we haven't
men.
shared a hot job in a while, and I kind of have a hot job to share.
Ooh, share it. I
Is
love
that
it. What a
aggressive?
throwback. I'm so excited. Should I share one too?
I think you should.
I think we should both share
I
one.
think we honestly have multiple, like so many jobs to share. And there was just like one that came to mind because I was just like sourcing on it and having a few screens and like it was just top of mind. We're
Love
working on
to
a
hear
really exciting job with
that.
a company we've been partnering with honestly almost as long as I've been at Hirewell for probably 4-ish years. They're a software as a service company in the manufacturing space. I think it's a really unique opportunity. They're hiring a director of sales specifically in Chicago. So I know a lot of big Chicago network here at Hirewell, which is why I specifically wanted to share this role. So, hello, Chicago folks, directors, high level managers of sales. If you're a manager of sales, managing account executives. So, you will be managing the folks that are focused on net new logos, probably managing around 4 to start and hiring 3 to 4 more. And we would love, love, love to find someone who is really passionate about team development, coaching reps, really working one on one, hiring successfully, and then focused again. I think it's a sweet spot. The stage of this company, their earlier stage, probably around 5 million in revenue right now, and looking for someone who has experience in that similar space, taking a company from like 5 million ARR to around 10 million ARR. They've got some really exciting goals. So if you are a manager or a director of sales managing account executives in the Chicago area, it's hybrid. They've got a nice flex schedule. Definitely reach out. It's a really exciting opportunity. We've been working with this company a long time and they hire wonderful people. It's a good one.
Amazing. Sounds exciting. Well, since you shouted out Chicago, I'm going to shout out California.
Oh, I love
We're
this.
just
We're
gonna
doing a little
Yeah, we're just gonna flip flop. So can you call the Midwest a coast? I'm gonna call it a coast because we're on the water. So
I'm
we're the
down. Yeah.
Midwest coast. Anyway, working with an incredible workers' comp law firm based out of California. They have a number of different offices all across the state. I believe they're sitting at like 11 or 12. So we have a number of positions open. They typically hire several workers' comp attorneys on an annual basis out of any
Mhm.
one of those offices. So we're looking for folks that have a deep expertise in workers' compensation, variety of levels too. So things are pretty open ended, which I think is also exciting. Whether you're, a more junior associate or someone that's been in the business for a while, they are a remote first organization. But the catch is that we'd like you to be close to one of those offices. That way, if you have court cases, have to go in for meetings, that I think it's fair too. I mean, I think you have to be in person in court nowadays, but who knows? Anyway, really exciting opportunity to join, honestly, one of the top firms in California, especially in this space. So if folks are interested, you want to chat, who knows if you even knew that we did attorney searches, but we do on corporate
Guys,
functions. So maybe we should highlight that in another segment.
you guys have been partnering with a lot of law firms recently, and
We definitely have. Yeah. And we've always worked within the legal industry. There's
yeah.
a number of high profile law firms that we've worked with over the years, whether it's from an administrative capacity or
Mhm.
HR capacity. But we are fully submersed in the attorney world now. So we're doing those searches left and right. And it's definitely exciting to expand our resources in that way.
I love it. We'll have to chat more about that, chat more about industrial when Shannon can join
So much
us.
going on. We
So much
definitely,
going on. So sorry I went rogue, but excited we got to share some hot jobs. It's been a minute.
yeah, same here. It was a good one.
That is a wrap for this week's
Perfect.
episode of the Hirewell Update. Thank you all so much for joining us. As a reminder, you can find all of our content at talentinsights.hirewell.com. Or if you'd like to learn more about Hirewell and our service offerings, check out our website. It's www.hirewell.com. We'll see you all then.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great week.